Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask Angela to do a roll call for the quorum purpose.
Thank you, Tom. Abedili.
Present.
Hearn.
Present.
Pashulik.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Sampu.
Present.
Tangney present. Administrator Ed Hoops.
Present.
And staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
Everybody's here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Acting under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and or Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August the 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. for the applications of Jesse Hurley. This hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to @hoops@230 South Street, Hyannis. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this hearing. Hearing none. Tonight's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisement. Please send your checks to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participations. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as the result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed by the Governor on March 28, 2025, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1. The hearing will be televised via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. 2. The real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom link 820-6785-4439 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. Third, the public can also email the comments to edwin.hoops@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. Tonight, under the old and new business, we have Town Attorney's Office explain the appeal court's decision in the JMS holding case. I have invited Tom Barosa. He is with the Town Attorney's Office with the town. And Tom, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. As Chairman Lee said, I'm here to discuss an appeals court decision that was handed down last month on July 14th on the JMS Holdings LLC case against the Barnstable Conservation Commission. The case was originally argued in the Superior Court and the appeal handled by for the town by former Assistant Town Attorney Kathleen Connolly. As a quick refreshing on this one, I think everyone might remember, and before the Conservation Commission in January 2003, the Commission originally approved under the Wetlands Ordinance and the Wetlands Protection Act the former property owner's application to construct a pier that consisted of an elevated walkway, a seasonal ramp, and a seasonal float. After that approval, the following year in 2004, the Commission adopted new regulations at Chapter 703 with standards for private docks and piers and protected wetland areas. Relevant here, the performance standards included requirements as to pier length, pier location, and water depth, namely a minimum of 30 inches between the seabed and the bottom of any dock vessel at mean low water. The existing pier became non-conforming at that point, but the pier was exempted from the requirements of the new regulations so long as there were no changes to the structure. Fast forward to March 2023, the new owner of the property applied for a permit to construct a permanent walkway in place of the seasonal portion of the elevated walkway, thereby constructing a permanent walkway in place of the existing partially permanent and partially seasonal walkway. The appeals court noted that the owner did not propose to do any work on the ramp or float. The commission approved the application for the walkway, but it imposed conditions on the use of the existing seasonal float that was connected to the walkway by the seasonal ramp, namely that they needed to comply with the current 30-inch requirement. Basically, in the appeals court, the property owner argument was that the commission conceded its authority when it imposed conditions on the float, despite the project proposing no work on the float. And the appeals court agreed with that argument. The court discussed that the proposed activities were confined to the elevated walkway, and the commission approved the project, which necessarily they believe was a finding that the work itself would not have an unacceptable, significant, and cumulative effect under the regulations under the bylaw under wetlands values. The court did not believe that the float fell into the Concom's jurisdiction simply because the Chapter 703, Section 2 defines docks and piers as comprising an entire structure despite its discrete segregable components. The court stated that the scope of the commission's authority to impose conditions, therefore, was limited to the potential impacts related to the elevated walkway, and they wrote that nothing suggests that limitations on the use of the float were necessary to address the wetlands impacts of the walkway. With that, they concluded that the commission exceeded its authority by imposing those conditions on the use of the float that were related to the scope of the work to the walkway. With that, basically their decision was that they remanded the decision to the Superior Court with instructions to send this back to the commission to issue the permit as it normally would, but without the conditions relating to the use of the float. So that is the Cliff Notes version of the summary.
Thank you, Tom. Questions? Question from the commissioner?
I had, wait a minute. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Pete?
Yeah, actually, I actually provided some firsthand testimony to that as to the west side of the float being prop dredged. Now, that is not something that we put into our denial, but it's something that I did put in the record on hearing that JMS case. Is that evidence at all pertinent to a decision upon remand?
The decision on remand from the appeals court is to issue the permit, not to do any more fact-finding in this matter to determine whether the 30-inch depth requirement can be attached. Basically, the decision here is that the permit needs to be addressed without the conditions on the use of the float.
Okay, the next question I have follow-up for that, Mr. LaRosa, is there a size of boat constraint on the existing permit? Because if the boat is bigger or the engines are bigger, that is a significant change to the use of that dock. Thank you for the question.
I think what the court is really saying here is that given that the work was on the walkway, the scope of the conditions that were permissibly imposed would relate to the walkway, not to the use of the float. And so, at this point here, the commission wouldn't be the appeals court was very clear on its remand that there would be no conditions as to the use of the float, and that would be, whether it's, imposing the 30-inch mean low water requirement under the circumstances. And I would say that would attach as well to, the size of a boat that can safely attach to the float.
Thank you, Tom. John?
Tom, well, thank you, John, for appearing in and helping us out with this thing. I just remind Peter Shampoo, I still think that there was a 9-inch or 12-inch rule that originally was imposed on that. Wasn't there, Tom Lee? Wasn't
Yes.
there? So
Yes.
that 12-inch rule would still apply, right, Tom LaRosa?
if any requirements that were imposed, assuming, I haven't looked at the 2003 order, but I assume whatever is existing there, whatever conditions still exist in the 2003 order, those wouldn't be modified. I'm not
And I think
suggesting that.
if my memory is right, there was a 12-inch requirement, but that's much different than the 30-inch. My question is this, and I remember when we drafted those regulations, we specifically, and the court addressed this and differs with my interpretation. We specifically defined what a dock was and said the ramp and the float were part of, quote, the dock or the pier. So when we addressed this JMS thing and came up with that finding, our thinking was, okay, if there is a substantial change in our substantial expansion in the pier, which, quote, included by definition under the regulation, the ramp and float, we therefore had legal authority to impose this new regulation on this pier. And that included the 30-inch rule. The court obviously disagreed with that. But I don't understand why. I don't know why they, knowing the definition was all of it, why did they cut out the ramp and float and say, well, you didn't change that, but it was part of the pier? That's where I got confused in reading the whole thing.
And it is the court said, and I'm looking at it right on my other screen, sorry. As discussed, JMS proposed no work whatsoever on the seasonal float. The commission does not argue, nor would we be persuaded in any event that the float falls under its authority simply because regulation section 703(2) defines docks and piers as comprising an entire structure, despite its discrete separable components. The scope of the commission's authority to impose conditions was limited to the potential wetland impacts related to the elevated walkway. Nothing in the record or logic suggests that limitations on the use of the float are necessary to address the wetlands impacts of the walkway. So that's, I'm just reading directly what they said versus trying to parse it further.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I really had trouble trying to understand it, because again, when we wrote it, the reg, it was specifically, we struggled. Remember, Peter, over the definition and came up with that and saying all of it's included within the definition of a pier. But the court seems to have said, no, the ramp and the float were not part of the pier and therefore not covered by this regulation. That's where I struggled with it, Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they outweigh my vote significantly, but
it's hindsight's 20/20, so I really don't want to be that person. I don't know whether hypothetically, for a certain project, maybe not this, maybe this, I don't know whether, the impacts of whether there is an argument, or could have been, that the impacts due to the walkway were of such a nature that somehow you might have logically been able to pull in the float, but that didn't seem to be the circumstances here. The court really kind of looked at this as they, correctly or incorrectly, they saw this as a hook to pull in the float when it was really working a walkway.
Is there, one final question, is there, and there may be no answer to this, but if the similar situation came before us tomorrow, is there a way for us to come up with a finding that would change a new court's decision? In other words, is there something we can do if the same set of facts came before us tomorrow? Is there anything we could do in the findings that would allow a confirmation of the commission's decision?
John, I really don't know the answer to that, but I think I turn it around a little bit. That obviously every project is different. It's very fact specific, and then you apply the law and the regulations to that. And on our end of the town attorney's office, we perhaps have been, not stressing that we're available to you as your attorneys to, have a conversation with conservation or Tom or the larger commission to discuss these, these issues. I'm available to, so folks can figure out, so we can talk about, what's the best and the right way to apply the ordinance and the regulations.
Again, I was struggling because we as a commission generally have said, listen, a permanent dock is, and this goes back, Peter, to a lot of your testimony and former biologists. We've always said that a permanent dock does have a more negative impact on the wetlands values that we're required to protect than a temporary dock. We've always said that, and that's why when we wrote the regulation, that's why when we had this hearing, we said, okay, here's a situation where it's going from a temporary to a permanent dock. That, quote, is a substantial change as we saw it, and therefore we can legally apply the regulations. And I would have argued the same thing tomorrow, but in light of this court's decision, I scratch my head and say, help, what do we do if it comes up tomorrow? That's all. So if it comes up tomorrow, Tom, we'll be on your phone. We'll call you.
But, I mean, John, certainly if they were looking to replace the seasonal float and with that, replace it with a different size seasonal float or permanent, make it something, the float into something that's actually permanent. Well, that's certainly different.
Yeah.
And I can see under the circumstances that, the commission then applying based on its review, potentially applying the present condition and the regulations.
All right, well, my suggestion to Tom Lee would be pick up the phone and call down the road if it comes up tomorrow.
I'm always available to everyone, and especially Tom and Ed.
Thank you.
Yeah, we always reach out to Tom or Kate at that time to discuss any questions that we come up with and deal with. And for this discussion, I think the main point is for the commission and trying to understand what's the reasons the appeal court make that decisions and how we are going to deal with it in future cases similar to this, and how to deal with it as a learning process, I guess.
Yeah.
I came here tonight to brief you to kind of open a dialogue. Certainly not that it would be the ending of that. I'm available. I mean, the commission does important and actually really interesting work, so I'm happy to be part of it and assist.
Thank you, Tom. Bill?
Yeah, although I was disappointed in the outcome of this, I think I understand the logic of the appeals court. They basically focus on the impact of the proposed work. And I was thinking there was an analogy there of a house that's built in the 0 to 50. And now they want to put in a extension, putting in a patio, a addition or whatever. And the house is already in the 0 to 50. We don't like that. We never have. We don't want to have houses in the 0 to 50. But when they're grandfathered, all we can do is talk about the new thing that's happening. And I think that that's how we have to look at this project. Like, what are they saying they're going to do? What is that an impact to the 8 functions of the wetlands? And if we don't like it, then modify or what have you. But we can't touch the rest of that house. And in this case, we have to look at docks in the same way. And I think that we have not historically. The dock is all one, you're changing something. And I think that's what the court is saying. Handle it like a house in a 0 to 50. That's how I'm looking at it. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Any other questions for Tom? No? Thank you, Tom. And if we have any more questions, or in the future, if we have any more questions for you, we'll definitely reach out.
I appreciate that, and I'm available. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
We have one RDA tonight. Jesse Hurley raise and replace existing cottage structure at 874 Main Street, Conduit. as shown in Assessors Map 035, Parcel 0x6. Dan?
Good evening, Chairman Lee, members of the commission. For the record, Dan Ojala, I'm a land surveyor and civil engineer with Downcape Engineering in Yarmouth Port. Pretty straightforward project here at 874 Main Street in Katuitt. This is a raise and replace of an existing cottage. The only resource areas are flood zone doesn't really affect us because it's much lower. It does set up a technical state bank. It's under the limit where the definition of local bank, of course, it's got to be seaward face, and it's facing Oyster Place Road, not the bay, and so it's a state bank only. Nonetheless, where the work is 50 feet outside of that bank. You're looking at a modest increase. Again, it's not really within any of the zones that you're concerned with. I did add some dimensions to the plan today. So you see the August 19th, 25, Ed called and just requested some dimensions added. So we've got all the dimensions around the existing cottage. And again, it's basically in the same footprint, a little bit of a bump out the front, but again, a long way from any of the resource areas that you concern yourselves with. The narrative goes through that with a little more specificity. We'll put up a silt fence. And again, not a big impact. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And technically, we don't take jurisdiction over the state banks. And so this is a little bit in the flood zone, and the cottage modifications is going to be way outside our jurisdictions. So any question from the commissioner? None? 10:18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None? Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination with the revised plan date, today's date, Dan?
Yes, the 19th.
August 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Koshulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for your time.
We don't have any NOI tonight, but we have one amended orders request. Red Lily Pond Project Association's request to amend the order of conditions to permit placement of additional benthic barriers to improve water quality and habitat by preventing regrowth of nuisance aquatic plants where plants have been cleared and removed on Red Lily Ponds and Lake Elizabeth, as shown on the Assessors Map 226 and 227. Doc?
Yes, sir. If I may share my screen, please. I have a brief presentation I'd like to make.
Okay.
And our pond management expert, Ken Wagner, is joining momentarily. He had some traffic issues in getting to his computer, but I just spoke to him, and he's joining right now.
Okay.
And he has already seen the presentation, so it won't be surprising. Nothing in here is going to surprise him. I'll skip to the next slide. So this is the past, what we've done in the past on Lake Elizabeth. On the top, it shows a picture that was taken prior to our removal of macrophytes pursuant to this order of conditions last month. So the before picture is above. The picture below shows after we moved the macrophytes in July 2025, about a month ago. And that is where, as you will see, where we are proposing to put the benthic barriers down. Red Lily Pond, the same sort of picture here. Oh, I'm sorry. First, I've got the next slide is where we propose not precisely, nothing is precise with these benthic barriers, but to show the area where we would be putting the proposed benthic barriers. And there's a total of, 7 of them that sort of fit the contours of where we harvested. Ed suggested that this is in the cover letter, but I wanted to make it clear even with all of these barriers and the ones that have already been put in, we're at about 8.1% of the total land area of the lake. And the total land area of the lake is capable of supporting vegetation. There's only a very, very small strip that is more than, I think, 3 feet deep. So plants can grow almost anywhere. More specifically, so far in Lake Elizabeth, we've installed about 7,600 square feet of benthic barriers. The proposal is to add 12,250 square feet, which would total a bit less than 20,000 square feet, which is about 8.1% of the area of Lake Elizabeth. Then in red, Lily Pond, similarly, you see the red area is where the benthic barrier was placed in February of this year, pursuant to the last amendment that we got from you all. And by the way, we have learned that February is not a great time to plant benthic barriers in lakes. We'll be hoping to do this in November. I think under the order of conditions, we could actually do it in October, but because we want to be super observant of the conditions, we'll wait until November. So you see the yellow area is where we had proposed to remove the barriers. To remove the macrophytes. Hang on a second. I've got Ken calling me. Hey,
I think you're muted, Doug.
No, we could not hear you.
He muted himself because he's taking a phone call.
He's taking a phone call.
Okay. I am here.
Yeah, Ken is here. Now Doug is not.
I'm here. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
Yep.
We're waiting
Very
for
good.
Doug to come back.
Okay. I don't know what happened to Doug.
Doug, unmute yourself, Doug.
Oh, there's Doug. Okay. Doug, we can't hear you. Well, he's continuing to talk and we can't hear him. So let's see. I'll send him a text quickly.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Dan, can I ask a quick question for the uninitiated? Define what is a benthic barrier. Tell us what it is.
Ken, could you do that while we're waiting for Doug?
I couldn't tell what he had. Oh, that was somebody else. I thought it was Doug talking. Okay.
No,
What's the question?
John is asking the questions about the benthic barrier. What is this?
What is it?
What is it? Okay, it's a inert material like a polyethylene, and it's a sheet material. It's amazingly strong tensile strength. You can't tear it. You could cut it, but you can't tear it. It's called Lake Bottom Blanket. It's made by a company in New Jersey. I've been using it for over a decade. It's really very effective. It has holes punched in it that let the gas
Sorry,
get out.
can people hear me now?
Yes.
There it is, yeah. But it's a non-porous barrier, so it basically seals off the bottom.
I can see you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So let me try this.
It's also about 3 inches thick, isn't it, Ken? Roughly?
Oh, no. It's like 3 mil. It's super thin.
Oh, it's really thin? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, very, very thin. It's opaque, but it's like a sheet of wax paper almost thick. It's very, very thin. Again, when I first encountered it, I said, there is no way this is going to work. This stuff is going to fall apart. And I was wrong. It does great. And then it's usually 10 foot wide. You can get whatever length you want. Every 5 feet, there's a sleeve sewn in, and you slip a rebar in there, and that's what weights it down.
Okay.
So you kind of fold it up and pull it out like an accordion. Generally speaking, 50 to 100 foot is manageable. Anything over that's a little hard to deal with. So they put them out, then they link them together to make them a more continuous mat.
Does it deteriorate over time, Ken?
I'm sorry, I'm not getting it.
Does it deteriorate, fall apart over time?
Yeah, over time, you'll have to clean it and maintain it eventually. You can usually go 2 to 3 years at least. And in the case here where it's mostly water lilies and stuff, it probably will go longer. Things that grow on top of it, like bladderwort, we have some of that, might come in. But most of the plants we have an issue with in both these ponds are ones that are not going to grow well on top of the barrier until it gets a lot of sediment, and that'll take a long time.
Thank you.
So, by the way, I'm sorry, my headset battery apparently died, so I don't know where I left you, and I couldn't hear the discussion when I got muted because you couldn't hear me.
You were right at Red Lily Pond, right where you are now, Doug.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So, at any rate, you can see in this picture here, if you can see my cursor, this is where we had two 10-foot strips that we attached together with zip ties. And there's nothing growing in between them. We believe that it's probably better from a habitat standpoint to have some separation between the strips. And a lot of the materials that I attached here were to show, and that I put into the cover letter, were to show that there is benefit from edge habitat, and that's why we're doing it that way. Again, I think I showed you this when we had our hearing on the last batch, but the Lakes and Ponds program mentioned our first barrier as an example of how to prevent regrowth of plants where microphones had been cut and removed. So this is from we submitted about a week ago, or no, about 3 weeks ago, we submitted a report on the clearing that we had done in July, a month ago, of the macrophytes. And in that report, which is by Ken, I put in a section here from his report, which was included in the report, but because you may not have had access to that, I wanted to make sure that you had access to this. And as you can see, there was a problem with dissolved oxygen this year. And Ken is available to discuss that in great detail. I was actually at breakfast this morning with somebody who's an area resident, and they mentioned that the swamp that former cranberry bog that they live nearby, that borders Red Lily Pond. She has lived here with her parents for decades and decades, and it has been so dry that the former cranberry bog is like a meadow. You can walk on it. So there's been a profound drought here in terms of rain and groundwater. And then I highlighted the portion that Ken put in that there's no indication that either the clearance or the benthic barriers that we put in already have had any effect on water quality. But I also included the chart of the different water quality testing that Ken has prepared for all the different dates, going way back to the first time before we did our clearance. And I wanted Ken to have an opportunity to fill you in on any water quality issues and answer any questions that you have. So with that, I will be quiet. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Ken?
Yeah, I think the primary thing you want to look at here is the oxygen. Other stuff sporadically gets shaded. Nitrogen is high in Red Lily in particular, and that seems to be related to septic systems. But it's not outrageously high, but it's definitely up there, and it's the nitrates that really do it. The bigger deal, though, is the oxygen. You can see this year it was really pretty low. before and after any work was done. Interestingly, where I was all day today turns out to be the exact same thing. It's also a lake that has a maximum depth of about 7 feet, average of 4 feet, and the oxygen at the top of it was 3.2 milligrams per liter today. Exactly the same problem. Hot weather, a lot of organic matter decaying, which creates an oxygen demand, and too much vegetation to allow much mixing. You know, typically we get low oxygen right at the bottom, but in a shallow lake, you get enough mixing that the oxygen's adequate. State standard being 5 milligrams per liter, more than a few inches off the bottom. That hasn't been the case in Red Lily or Lake Elizabeth. It was not the case in the lake I went to today in Cambridge. I've seen other ones like this. Basically, although plants, when they photosynthesize, put in some oxygen, they're also respiring, and they're respiring 24/7. They're only photosynthesizing when there's sunlight. So it's still not a net gain. And then you put all that organic matter being decayed and the inability to mix the lake just by wind or simple processes because the plants are so dense, this can happen. It doesn't happen all the time there, but it was definitely bad this year.
Thank you, Kent. Any question from the commissioner? Pete?
Yeah, Ken, can you speak to the commission about phosphorus levels? In part because a benthic barrier that might limit dissolved oxygen to the surface sediments could result in a release of phosphorus from those sediments. Can you speak to that, please?
Well, that's absolutely true, except this place already has low oxygen at the sediment pretty much everywhere. So it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
So you saw no difference? You saw no difference?
No, it's not related to the barrier at all. Now, the reality is we've got, 8% of the lake area covered by barrier at this point? It just isn't very much.
No.
But there isn't a huge amount of lateral mixing with all those plants, and we're not seeing any significant differences over the barrier versus elsewhere. If anything, we have slightly better oxygen over top of the barrier because you're not getting the interaction between the sediment and the overlying water. But you're absolutely correct. You're probably at very low oxygen, no oxygen under the barrier. Unfortunately, we also have no oxygen at the bottom in a lot of other places. These values you're getting here are halfway between the top and the bottom. Now, the top and the bottom is no more than 4 feet where I'm making the measurement. So this is literally no more than 2 feet below the surface. And you've got values, beforehand this year, 1.5, 4.8, 2.7, and 3. And after the barriers went down 2.9, 4.9, 2.8, 3.2. Now, that's not all over barrier. Some of it is just where they did the harvesting. But generally speaking, you get a slight bump in the oxygen over the barrier, but it's not enough to improve it. And again, okay, I'm sure you're correct. There is low oxygen under the barrier, but unfortunately, there's low oxygen everywhere else too.
So just another little follow-up question. Could the process of manually harvesting vegetation out, which you did, to do some clearing, have stirred up some sediment, thereby increasing the oxygen demand of that resuspended fine silt from the bottom while you were, essentially harvesting the plants? Could that have been?
Absolutely possible. And in one instance in the past, I thought the oxygen was somewhat depressed in the area where they harvested. But the reality is that there's no correspondence to that here. The oxygen is not depressed any more in the harvested area than it is. The ones that are numbered 1 are harvesting targeted areas. The ones that are labeled 2 are the control areas where the harvesting isn't occurring. So if you just look at the last set on there, LE1 is 2.9. That is where harvesting occurred. LE2 is a bit higher. That's not where harvesting occurred, so that looks better. RL1 is where harvesting occurred. RL2, no harvesting, but that's over top of benthic barrier. Okay. So, yeah, there might be a slight effect there, but again, none of these are good. None of them meet the state standard.
Right. So one final question, Ken. Again, you have only about 8% of the surface covered by the barriers, but one could assume, I think here, that benthic infauna are completely absent underneath the benthic barriers on account that there is absolutely no oxygen at all there?
I think that's a reasonable assumption, but where we've placed barriers before, remarkably, we get a lot of stuff that likes to be around the edge of the barrier. And if it billows a little bit, stuff goes under it, including fish. But yeah, in an absence of oxygen, they sure couldn't stay there very long.
And so the proposed where you've got some strips, or you got in between the barriers, you've got a strip of unburied sediment that
Correct.
is hopeful for more diversity in that benthic habitat.
Yeah, it creates a mosaic, and you get edge habitat, which always increases your diversity. You get different things that use the edge. But the problem here is that we've got low oxygen everywhere. So if we were looking for benthic fauna on the bottom, it's pretty depauperate to begin with because we've got such high oxygen demand everywhere.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So if I could, Chairman Lee,
Yeah.
I want to just point out one thing. These values here on July 10th were taken before we did the recent harvesting. These values down here were taken on August 1st after we did the benthic barrier. And in every case, the dissolved oxygen actually went up from July 10th at these different locations to August 1st. They didn't go up a lot in most cases, but they actually went up, not down, after we did the clearance. Oh, one other thing I wanted to correct as well. Currently, Lake Elizabeth is at about 5% of coverage with benthic barriers. We're proposing to go up to 8%. And Red Lily Pond, I think, is less than, it's only about 1% currently, and we're looking to go up to about 2.5%. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Doug, for the clarifications. Because I remember that you want to go up to 8%, but you are not there yet.
Yeah, and that's a good point that I should have noted. The pre and post comparison of oxygen is actually better in the post. It's not significantly higher, but it is better.
Doug, do we have the test results, that you're showing us? Do we have that information in our file?
Yes, this is the exact same data that was put into our report on the on the clearance that we filed 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just the 2 last dates being added to it, and we don't have the lab data back for phosphorus and nitrogen yet. We'll add that in.
Okay. Thank you. Bill?
We did not receive, the commissioners, these monitoring reports they're referring to. Are we going to be able to have them, get them? That's a question, I guess, that Tom or Ed.
If we have it in the file.
Yes, we can. They're in the Laserfish file, so we can get them for you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. We're talking about 2%, and we're talking about 8% in the two ponds, and yet you have, routinely cited that the DEP guidance is for 10% is being acceptable. And I wondered what the citation is for the DEP, where they are literally saying 10% is fine, and I think you say it's for what, an RDA in effect. So
I can answer that. It's the 2004 guidance document for plant management. It's a 34-pager. It's online.
2004.
2004, and I'm not sure I can get the exact quote there, but it's like guidance for plant control projects.
And that's a DEP.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're going for the roughly 2 and 8. Why not just simply pursue a 10% on your summary, the last sentence of your summary in your request for this amendment on page 3? It says these proposed additional benthic barriers will be the subject of future requests to amend OOCSE 35852. And I'm like going, well, if you're just going to keep going, why not just request the 10? Is there? So you don't have to refile.
I'm happy to answer that question.
Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you, sir. we can't do all of it in a single year because of manpower. This is done almost exclusively by volunteers, and the average age of the volunteers is about 70. So it's we can't do it all in one year. When we filed the original request to amend so that we could put down the benthic barriers, we also indicated in that we wanted to continue to do this, and we thought that that order of conditions permitted us to do up to 10%, but it didn't. And so then we had to file an amendment, and we just felt it was better to do incremental. Now, I think next year we're gonna max out. I think next year we're gonna try to get up to the 10% in both of the ponds, so we won't have to bother you again. But if the commission was willing to consider just going ahead and giving us permission for up to 10% in each of the bodies of water, that'd be very happy about that. I love you guys, but if we could skip another amendment, that would be great. And of course, we'll file regular reports.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Any other question from the commissioner? Chair Whitkin, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None? Commissioner, I would rather keep it as this amended order under this percentage. I don't want to increase it. I mean, next year when they try to file it, at least they have to submit that report so that we can see it first before we approve the next one.
Tom, I'd be equal to share that concern. I just think that legally, you know, there's an application before us. If it was changed, it'd have to be redone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I would agree with you, Tom.
Okay. Would I have motions to approve this amended order request?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Third.
Abedili.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Koshulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Pete?
You're muted, Pete, if you're saying it.
Aye. Thank you.
Got it. Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Ken. And thank you, Patricia.
Good.
Thank you. And thank you.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
have 3 continuances. The first one is Royal Catani Conserve Group. Renovations of an existing 3-bedroom, 1-story single-family dwelling to propose 5 bedrooms, 2.5-story single-family dwelling with balcony or elevator on piles, extending certain existing seashell driveway and landscaping improvement at 51 Horse Avenue, Hyannis, as shown on the assessor's map 323 parcel 005. This is a continuance from August the 12th, and we are waiting for the DEP numbers, and the quorum is everyone. We have received the architectural plan for the proposed building. Ed, we don't have the DEP number, right?
Nope, I just checked it 1 minute ago.
Atlantic Design is here. Is it Brandon?
Yes, it is. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. So we are looking for a continuance. How about
just to add to what you read off. So it sounds like I know Kim had reached out to Mass DEP and got a response about the basically they don't have record of the check being cashed yet. I did send over a copy of the check, basically a bank statement that the owner of the property provided, sent that over to the Mass DEP. So it's just a hang up on their side of things of, going through the check and showing that they've received it and the filing has been paid. Is there anything we can do? Because I did send that copy of the check over to Kim. I sent it over to Mass DEP. It's just basically, like I said, on their end, they haven't gone through the process to, file it. And that's why they haven't issued us a Mass DEP number. I know that part of the issue is it's hard to, close a project or submit or have an order of conditions without a Mass DEP number, but is there anything we can do to kind of move this along and not have to wait until the next meeting?
We have to wait until the DEP number is issued.
Okay.
We can do here.
Okay.
So we are looking for a continuance date of September the 2nd. Would that work for you?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Could I have a motion to continue this application to September the 2nd?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's unanimous to 9-2.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
The only thing I can say is that go and get in touch with the DEP, make sure they cash the check before you can get your number.
Yeah, I understood. Hopefully what I sent over them today will be enough for them to give us the number.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
The second continuance of the night is Kenneth G. Moulton, trustee to reconstruct licensed wooden groin at 373 Sandy Neck, Barnstable, as on an assessors map 338 parcel 001. This is a continuance from August the 12th, and everyone is on the quorum, and we're waiting for the Shellfish Committee's and the Harbor Master's comment.
Tom, we did get the Harbor Master comments. We got that about an hour ago, and they did not have any problem as long as the groins were not extended any further out, which they're not. So they're okay with it. We're just waiting on Shellfish at this point.
Do we need the NHSB letter? You said we have one.
We do have that. That's in the back of that was included in the back of the notice of intent application.
Okay. Dan?
And, just real quick, Chairman Lee, I did we had a nice meeting with the Shellfish Committee, and they didn't have any issue with it. They would take us up on the alternate mats for the wheeled equipment on the beach. So that was their only suggestion to you folks, to put that condition in there. Other than that, they were happy with it. Whether they got anything in writing, I don't know, but I was there, and it was a very well-received project.
Ed, you okay with that?
Ed?
As long as you are. I mean, you're the one who are voting for it. So
Yeah.
I watched the meeting. He's reporting that correctly.
I mean, we're not calling
Angela.
Thank you, Angela.
I'm not calling Dan into.
No, I didn't mean you were. I'm just saying we can move this along. That'd be great.
Yeah,
She's a
it's
lot
not
more
much to
honest
see.
than he is, Ed. Come on. Thanks, Angela.
Yeah, I'm sure Shellfish will probably be getting that to us in the next day anyhow. So if you're good with it, I'm good with it.
So what was the conditions that the Shellfish was asking?
So in the narrative, we'd put the alternate mats down, the spread the weight of the equipment out, and so that's in the narrative, the language for that. And then your other condition was going to be the NHESP had 4 special requirements. Most importantly was the end of the time of year.
Time of the year restrictions.
So those are the only 2 special ones that I know about, other than the ones you usually put on them.
So the time of the year restriction is between May 1st and July 31st, right?
Correct. No work during those periods.
Horseshoe crab.
Right.
April 1 to August 31st was their period of no work.
Okay.
And having the mats laid down so that the instruments won't dig much into the sand. Yes.
Right.
It's rocky, but that'll help support it, and we have no problem. The contractor's happy to do it.
Okay. Chandler, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve these projects with the conditions on the year time restrictions between May 1st and July 31st, and lay down the mats to spread the load as recommended by the Shellfish Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's approved.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate the careful consideration. Thank you.
Yep. The last continuance is the 3 Bay Preservation Inc. management of approximately 90 square feet of invasive Phragmites and other sporadic state-listed invasive plants that surrounded the Cranberry Bog system at 946, 948, and Zero River Road, Marston's Mill, as on the Assessors Map 045, Parcel 026, 011, and 016-004. This is a continuance from August the 12th, and the quorum is everybody.
No, it's not. I had to recuse myself.
Oh, sorry. Yes, your
neighbor. And as a result, I'm going to sign off right now because it's the end.
Yep. Go ahead.
Good luck.
Yep.
Bye, Bill. Thank
I
you.
think it's Bill's bedtime.
Good night.
It's your bedtime, right?
And then we are waiting for the DEP number. So, Ed, we don't have the DEP number, right, Stephen?
No, just checked it a minute ago. They did not come through.
Okay. Stephen, can we do it September the 2nd continuous date?
That would be great. Thank you, Commission. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, our permitting specialist checked recently, and similar situation. We're showing a payment posted, but yeah, next available hearing, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to continue this applications to September the 2nd?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's the 5 of us. That's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck. Hopefully we have a DP number on September the 2nd. We have one certificate of compliance, Nicholas D. and Millie L. Cooper, SE3-5586. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Our next hearing is at 6:30 on September the 2nd. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous. It's 7:27.